All right, it's the news is out. It's official. We reported on April 29th, Drew Eubanks will not return to the Suns next season. We reported that on April 29th. It's out there in social media. And then yesterday, we also said that Drew Eubanks would not be back with the Phoenix Suns. They were going to go in a different direction at center. Today, it became official that Drew Eubanks has declined his option, a player option for $2.6 million, and will enter free agency. Look, the Suns want to go in a different direction at backup center. Now, Drew will have some interest. Drew is a younger player. He's got some athleticism. He's not a bad player. He's just not the right fit for Phoenix. Okay, let me just say this. Drew Eubanks is a good person, and he's a good basketball player, but he's not the right fit for Phoenix. He led the team in plus-minus on the wrong side of plus-minus. Nobody had a worse plus-minus than he did. He does some things well, but what he does well is not what the Phoenix Suns need. The Suns need a different center, a more athletic center, rim protector, run the floor, lob passes. They'd like to get somebody who could shoot a little bit. This is not the center, the backup center they want. This is not a knock on him. Sometimes it's just not a fit thing. He did not fit with the Phoenix Suns. So when I reported in April that he wasn't coming back, the plan is that they have always just wanted a different backup center that more fits in line with what they want.
And you get the idea, too, that Mike Budenholzer kind of wants to shape the bench in his image, because he can't really shape the starting lineup in his image outside of just what they want to accomplish offensively and
Good point, Mitch. Good point.
Right?
He can shape the bench in his image because you've got the maneuverability there and you don't with the starters.
And there's a chance he brings in guys he's familiar with, like maybe guys that he coached when he was with the Bucks, or if anybody's left from those days when he was coach of the Hawks, or he just goes with what's available to him in the draft. Yesterday, you talked about Baylor's Yves Missi as a possibility, as someone that the Suns are at least looking at or potentially looking at as an option at 22 overall, someone who fits the mold of what you're describing that they want, an athletic center who can provide some spacing down flow.
That's right. Yves Missi, we mentioned yesterday, as a guy. Lauren, you got that profile, that great profile that you played yesterday for Yves Missi? We are going to give you a player each day up until the draft that we believe the Suns will consider at 22. And we'll eliminate some players, too. Yesterday, we eliminated Kyle Filipowski. We do not believe the Suns will have interest in Kyle Filipowski. Yesterday, we mentioned this player as somebody we believe the Suns will consider at 22.
Fourth in the Big 12 preseason, Baylor, which is even deeper this year with the addition of Houston and Cincinnati, among others. Missi slithering his way in.
Head of his years, watch that.
Contests the shot, and O'Connell still gets the high bounce off the glass.
Yeah, good drive by O'Connell right there. Missi is a rim protector. Yeah, Beavers come out in the zone trying to slow the Bears down.
Dennis on the rolling Missi, and he scores it.
There it is. Great job by Lauren putting that together. Yves Missi, that was the guy we mentioned yesterday. He's a center. He's an athletic center. Doesn't shoot the ball very well, but he's an athletic, super freak athletic center. Can run up and down, run like a gazelle up and down the court and block shots and rim protecting. And he could switch on defense, which you want. You want your center to be able to switch, be quick feet, be able to move out there and not get targeted, so you like that about him. He doesn't have much range. He's not a really good shooter. Doesn't have a lot of experience. Not saying he's the guy. I'm going to give you 5 guys who could be the pick at 22 by the time I leave for vacation on Tuesday. I'll give you 5 guys. We gave you 1 yesterday. We'll give you 1 today at 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock, we'll give you 1 more. But what the Suns are going to look for is they just want a different backup center. They want a backup center that is more athletic. They're trying to get more athletic. They're trying to get a guy that can go up and down the floor. They'd love to have somebody that can shoot. That might be hard, but they'd love to have somebody that could, go outside and knock down some shots and draw the defense to them. But definitely defensive-minded. Somebody can give them some protection, because part of the problem the Suns had defensively was dribble penetration. You dribble right by Devin Booker. You dribble right by Kevin Durant. You dribble right by Bradley Beal. You need athletic centers that could come over and help.
Someone who's going to sacrifice his body when the player gets into the paint.
But just recognize it and get there quickly. Now, Nurkic isn't bad at it, but he just doesn't move that well.
Right.
So he's slower. So if you get a more athletic guy, you're going to get quickness with that athleticism. It's going to help them. So no surprise here that Drew Eubanks is not coming back. I also reported yesterday. Do we have that sound from yesterday, Mitch?
Yeah, so in a grouping of talking about the futures of both Eric Gordon and of Drew Eubanks, you had said this yesterday.
Now, let's talk about Drew Eubanks, okay? Because that's another guy with a player option. I don't see him coming back either. And I said this earlier when Vogel was the coach. I said, I don't expect Gordon to come back. Then the coach changed, and I said, I really don't know. I kind of got to find that out. I kind of, got to do some homework and kind of find that out. At this point, I don't think that he'll come back either. I think there'll be enough interest in him where somebody else will sign him because he's still a young player, and he's. I think the end of this month is when he's got to decide. So I'm going to say no on Eric Gordon. He's not coming back. And I'm going to say it's unlikely that Drew Eubanks comes back as well.
So one young player leaves, and then an older veteran may or may not be out the door. You're saying that you do not expect Eric Gordon to return.
Eric Gordon's not going to come back
So
either.
we assume that Eric Gordon's not going to return. So what does that mean for the Suns? They're going the route of higher athleticism
they're trying to redo the bench, like you mentioned. They're trying to redo the bench, get themselves, younger, more athletic. Look, Eric Gordon is 35 years old. He'll be 36 in December. Like, you got to get some youth on this team, like youth that can play. And the other thing with Eric Gordon is that his minutes are easily replaced by Damian Lee. And I'll say that. I didn't say that his minutes will easily be replaced by Damian Lee.
A younger version of someone who plays the same position and serves the same role.
Yeah. So Damian Lee will take that spot from Eric Gordon. They're not going to draft a shooting guard. They got 6 of them. So, Eubanks will be replaced by somebody outside the organization, and Gordon's going to be replaced by somebody inside the organization. Look for Damian Lee to take the opportunities that's going to be presented to him because of Eric Gordon being gone, and look for somebody outside the organization, draft, free agency, whatever they decide to do, to be the guy that replaces Drew Eubanks. So no more Eubanks. Eric Gordon, it's not official yet, but Eric Gordon, I don't expect Eric Gordon to be back either. And the Suns will continue to try to, redo the roster in a way that, gives Mike Budenholzer. Look, they had one of the worst bench productions in the NBA last year. One of the worst. It's got to improve. It's got to be better. Eric Gordon was a good shooter and scorer, but he was a turnstile defensively, couldn't guard anybody. Very easy to go right by him, and it caused a lot of problems for them defensively. They needed to move on from Eric Gordon. He was a nice fit, for a guy that could score off the bench, but the way Grayson Allen played, it just made what he did less of a need. It made they had enough guys that could do what Eric Gordon does, so it was less of a need for him.
Well, at the same time, that's kind of the flaw of the last offseason, right? What was the big thing that they decided to do in building up the team around the big 3? They got a lot of guys that could be put around the outside and shoot, right? Eric Gordon being the key piece among them, but then you consider Yuta Watanabe, he could space the floor, Keita Bates-Diop, and then halfway through the season, the Suns completely pivoted on that strategy and tried to get some more defensive-minded wings who could also provide a little outside shooting. This time around, they're making sure that they actually have the best possible group of guys that they could go to outside of their big 3 and really their starting 5 as a whole. I don't think they're just going to go purely for one type of scoring guy. They're going to be looking for some versatile players that they can use off the bench.
Thanks for watching Burns and Gambo. Click to see more from the guys and hit the button in the middle to subscribe so you never miss a video from Arizona Sports.